Right. Good morning and welcome in. Just checking that sound is off. Sorry, I'm a minute or two late. Been dashing around trying to add links to a blog post that's going to go live at 10 o'clock. That's one of the downsides of working internationally, is that when people the other side of the world don't put their links in to what to them is late evening, to me that's the middle of the night, so I have to dash about and do it first thing. But that's all done. That's all raring to go, ready to post at 10, and I'm here ready to do some crafting. And you're going to be a bit impressed this morning, people. I've actually done a small amount of preparation. Who knew? So welcome. My name is Helen Jennings. I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator based here in the UK, and it's Friday morning, so that means it's time to do some crafting. So let's do that. Obviously, if you want to go and hunt out anything that I've got going on in terms of classes, or you want to shop, or you want to find out that blog post that's going live at 10, then do head over and find me on www.loveaduckie.co.uk, and you'll find my host code there as well if you want to do any shopping. Who doesn't love a bit of shopping? Right, this morning we are actually going to play with this circle celebration set. It struck me, having had a couple of conversations this week with people that have said, oh, I just completely passed that by. It didn't jump out at me at all. Whereas for me, I went, oh, that's rather exciting. And we're actually doing a one sheet wonder class with that next week. Morning Lisa, morning Jackie. I think it looks like we've got Hannah there and Beryl. So morning. So yeah, it jumped out at me as being something a little bit different, and so we're going to have a bit of a play with that in a one sheet wonder class next week. But I thought we'd have a bit of play with it this morning. I do love these cards they've got here. They've gone from really quite simple stamping to a bit more, so literally just some circles stamped, to adding in a little bit more, and then getting really fancy with some gold thread and all sorts of things going on in that one. But they're really lovely. So I have been digging around to have a look at what circles will work with these circle stamps. It is a photopolymer set. So what I've got here is I've got 3 of the dies from the layering circles, and they fit rather beautifully with those circles, as do the stitched circles. They will sort of cut those out if you wanted a bit of a stitched element going on. And also, according to the catalogue, your 1.5 inch punch and your 2 inch punch are also good things to have if you want to punch some of your circles out, which we may do as we go along. And you've got these variety of sort of, this is sort of almost like a backgroundy, make a brilliant moon, wouldn't it? Yes, you could have that as a moon with things going on in front of it. You've got these beautiful swirly ones and lines. This one here sort of will sit in the corner of a circle like that stamp. You've got these little flowers. You've got the sort of negative and the positive type flowers. You've got a little row of dots, which is always useful. Then you've got these smaller stamps in there as well. So a whole range of little circles. It is indeed a celebration of circles. So I thought we'd have a bit of a play with those today. So the first little pile of things I've got here is I've got some pretty peacock, some misty moonlight, and some seaside spray ink. I thought we ought to play with some of these ink colours because it won't be long before we're saying goodbye to them. The new catalogue launches at the beginning of May, so we should be saying goodbye to these two at the end of April, so that's not very far away. So I thought we'd have a bit of a play with those while we can, because Pretty Peacock has been such a favourite. So I've already pre-cut and scored a pretty peacock card base, so that's just a half a sheet of A4 scored down the middle at about 14.9. I've got a Seaside Spray matte there that is 14.4 by 10, and if you're using US letter size measurements, then it's just, you know, your standard card base is really, this is 4 1/4 by 11, and this will be 5 1/4 by 4 if my memory serves me right. And then I've got a piece of white here, and this is 13.9 by 9.5, which is 4 3/4 by 3 3/4. No, 5 by 3 3/4. 5 by 3 3/4. I've been doing lots of writing down of the different measurements. So yeah, so that's the difference in the card sizes. But we are going to start with this Seaside Spray piece here, and I'm going to die cut some circles from it. So no, I want the plain ones. I think we'll go something like that. It's not an exact science. That's as exact as we're going to get. Something like that. Let's transfer that to my die cutting machine, and I'll just run that through. I won't move my die cutting machine over. I'm sure you've all seen dies going through a machine before. Now my layering circles I've had for quite a little while, so they were before Stampin' Up bought the dies in-house, but they're exactly the same whether you've got old ones or new ones. Right, so our little circles here we will no doubt find a use for on another occasion. If we're really quick, you never know, we might even make up a card with them. So what I'm going to do now is sort of vaguely line that up underneath, and let's draw in, get a pencil and lightly draw in those circles, so we've got a target for our stamping. So there we are, we've got 3 pencil. Morning Bonnie, morning Jane. We've got 3 pencil circles now on our white cardstock, and now it's a question of deciding which of our circles we would like to stamp. So I think I'm going to have that one there in my big circle. We'll go for the one with the lines in my medium size circle, and then baby circle. Do I want a flower? I'm going to go spots, I think, because these colours are actually can be utilised for a man's card. So let's, in fact, I'm going to swap. I'm going to change my mind. Woman's prerogative, because we can use these colours for a male card. I'm going to bring in that background circle and then that detailed circle just there. So let's find some blocks. Let's find a stamping mat. I'm going to come in Misty Moonlight, I think, with my, it does look like a sort of Halloween moon, doesn't it? It's rather fun. Let's line that up with a circle here. Rather fun. Let's bring in this circle that has lots of like foliage on it, and we're going to stamp that over the top. So it's fairly subtle in the background there. We could have, if we wanted to make that pop, have done it with sort of white embossing powder or something, or done the background, stamped it off and made it much paler. In fact, there's nothing like two sides of a card, is there? Let's do that. I think let's make that background slightly paler. Let's turn that piece of card over. That's why pieces of card have two sides, for dealing with indecision. Let's just bring in a bit of scrap paper. Let's ink up our fingers with Misty Moonlight, why not? Right, let's try that once more. I'm going to stamp that off. And then stamp it on. And then we'll take our foliage, sort of line that up around the circle. That's much better. So that's that circle. Hope everybody is doing well on this Friday morning. Let's come in with some pretty peacock on our line stamp. Now, do I want the lines to come crossways? Do I want them to go upwards? They're almost like a wavy grass that way, aren't they? I think that's what we'll do. We'll have them waving. And then we've got this one here, and we've got blobs. And I'm going to come in again with Pretty Peacock. Now, I actually washed my blending brushes yesterday. Are they wet still? Yes. I would have come in with my blending brushes, but they're still wet. So I'm going to grab a bit of sponge instead, because I just want to add a bit more colour to this one. Now obviously I'm not worried about the surround because that's going to be completely covered up by our frame on the top. Sort of like that. Now what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take this little sort of starburst stamp. Let's bring in some seaside spray. And let's just add in some of those round and about. And we've got this crosshatch one as well. I think sticking with our seaside spray to add some of those into those smaller areas. Swap those back over. Let's have one of those there and one of those there. I've left that blank. I'm going to put my sentiment down there. Looking fun. Right, what shall we have for a sentiment? Quick slurp of tea while I think about it. Obviously this is a set that doesn't have sentiments in it. It's just greetings. No, that's too wide. It needs to be something that's going to fit in that little panel just there. Now, I know some of my lovely ladies have been very busy putting together sort of files and things with their stamps on. That's something I need to do. That one would be rather good. And this is out of the Peaceful Moments set. Let's have a little bit of white card. Clonk, clonk, clonk as I dig around through my blocks, finding the one I want. And I think we'll go Misty Moonlight for our greeting. Now, look at that, that's perfect, isn't it? No. We're going to try that again. We are full of indecision today. We're changing our mind left, right and centre. I don't think that wants to be another circle. I think that will be better. Let's find ourselves a little bit of pretty peacock to go underneath there. Perfect. Yeah, they are lovely, aren't they, these circle stamps? But I know that you ladies are going to come and do a one sheet wonder with me this week, so we shall have fun. I've also been asked to do, going to do like a bit of an inchy swap, but I need to make a 3-inch square piece. I've got a feeling that these may be it, because you can heat emboss those pieces. I'm thinking you could probably gild some of them, couldn't you? That would be rather fun. You can really go to town with them. Right, so I'm going to stick this front piece with our sort of little background stamping in. I'm going to stick that on my mat. I'm going to definitely use wet glue for this. I should have rubbed out my pencil marks. I'm definitely going to use my wet glue for this so that I can wiggle it around until I'm happy. But then there's our little, here's one we did and decided against. Let's see if I've got some big dimensionals. I've only got little ones there. And we'll, really does look good with sort of, you could have like a black tree or something in the corner of your circle. Sorry, going back to our original dark one, and make that really moonlight, couldn't you? Let's turn it back to the side that we're supposed to be looking at. And we'll add that onto our pretty peacock base. And we'll stick that down flat on there. Perhaps just for more circles, let's add in a few of In Colour Misty Moonlight. Enamel dots. So there's a few of those circles, but we've done those so that they're sort of inlaid. We've created the apertures for them to pop into. So that's one card, and same, we've done that in sort of blues and greens and things, so it's would make a good card for the guys. Let's move some of these things out of the way. Let's gather up our circles. So we're ready to start again with card number 2. Let's pop these back for now. One more stamp to track down somewhere, and they'll all be there. Here it is, hiding under my dimensionals. Right, we're back to a full complement of circles. Let's pop the happy birthday away. That was out of the Peaceful Moments. I'm not sure whether I said that. The set that went with the poppies. Good job my water's got a lid on it. We have a little puddle, but not a major leak. Okay, let's have a look at my second card. And for this one, I thought we'd go a little bit more dramatic. I've got some black and silver, some silver embossing powder and some Versamark, and the Parisian Flourish 3D embossing folder. So let's have a look at this one and see where we're heading. So I've got a piece of black card just here, and again I've cut it so it's the full length of your card cut in half. So this is 10.5 centimeters, it'd be 4 1/4 if you were in the States. And then what I want to do is I'm going to take so as my card opens like this, I'm going to take my front piece, turn it round, and I'm going to score it at 10.5 centimeters. So now I have a score line there that gives me a square, 10.5 centimeters square. So obviously in the States you'd have done that at 4 1/4. And then you've got this bit just here, which will now hopefully make sense of the bits I've got here, because I've got a piece of silver foil that is 10 centimeters square, and as you can see I've already taken my trimmer and gutted the centre out of that, because I've got a piece of black card to sit on the top that is 9.5 centimeters, and then I've got a piece of foil here that is actually 3.9 centimeters by 10 centimeters, and a piece that is 3.4 by 9.5. So I've just brought those down in the usual increments. So we'll have a card that looks a bit like that, and this is called a bookbinding card. I've seen a few of these around recently and liked the look of them. So what I'm going to do is I am going to fold this piece back. Let's take my folder, because this is going to be the opening of my card. This bit is going to be stuck down, so let's do that now. Now I did see somebody that had made one of these cards the other day, and rather than completely sticking this down, they'd just stuck it down around across the top and the bottom to leave themselves a little pocket that they could slip a gift card into. So if you wanted something that you could pop a gift card in, that makes the perfect little slit in there, or even money. You could, as long as you leave it tucking out so that they could see it, or a check, or whatever it is that you want to send, you could do that. So just if you want to do that, just stick it top and bottom. But I'm going to stick this all down like this, and then this is my opening. I'll stick on my silver foil frame on here, so we're leaving an equal border all the way around, just as we would if it was a square card. And then I've got my silver foil frame for here, and likewise leave a nice equal border. Looks like the television, doesn't it? Right, so I'm going to take this little piece of black card and I'm going to put that through my scrolls embossing folder. Now I'm going to wiggle it around until I'm happy with where that's going. I thought if we're doing the circles, the sort of the scrolls give quite a nice sort of circular effect on them. So let me just find the right ingredients. So I need my base plate number 1 and my embossing plate number 4. Run that through there. So then we have that beautiful embossed piece just there. So let's pop that on. And then we're going to take this bit and have a bit of a play with some of our circles. and heat emboss them in silver. So let's take a embossing buddy and just rub that over the top. Now I think we will have this sort of flowery one this time. In fact, perhaps we'll have this flowery one and this flowery one. Got this little flower just here. Might add a couple of those in. Perhaps we'll add a couple of those, one there and one down there. Let's see how that goes. Now obviously once we start stamping in Versamark, we're not necessarily going to be able to see where all of our stamps are. So we might have to, I'm going to take the lid off my embossing powder, we might have to stamp a bit, scatter on a bit of powder, stamp a bit more. We'll see how we go. Right, I'm going to start with this one just here. Let me put my piercing mat underneath. Let's ink up. It's got a bit of red card or something on there. Let's get rid of that. Oh look, it's back. Where are you from? And why are you so determined to get onto this stamp? Okay, let's have that down this corner. So press firmly, hold it in place while the ink transfers. Now I can just about see that one. Let's have this flowery one here. And this flowery one here. I'm going to sprinkle some powder on because then I shall be able to see where we're aiming for, where we're going. Just grab a brush and just whisk off those odd bits. Right, now we can see where they are. Let's add in that stamp just there. And I'm going to come in with this little tiny one. We'll have another one just there. Right, let's see how that's doing. A bit more powder. Let's bring in our brush. Just brush off that excess where we can. Now I am thinking to myself, I'm going to come in, we've got this little spotty stamp just here. I'm thinking going to add in some little dots round and about. Let's have a look at that. It's very difficult to see on camera, I know, with Versamark, but let's see. Suddenly they jump to life when I add the powder. You can see where I've obviously held that corner, and it's got finger marks on it, and here, look. Okay, let's set to with our heat gun, and hopefully that will all pop beautifully. I'm just going to move this out of the way because I don't really want to heat that up too much. It won't do it any favours. Catch up with you soon, Jackie. Oop. So although we're using this sort of stamp set as our main focus, some of these little flowers and things and spots and dots be really useful just to add in little elements. To other cards. And take off any of the surface embossing buddy powder. And we'll pop that on there. It's going to take, no, the slightly bigger block. The bigger block altogether, and give that a good press down. Is where we've heated it. Cardstock has just curled slightly. And then, ooh, we need some sort of greeting on there. I'm going to take some of my silver foil think that will just about fit on there. Let's rebuild my sandwich, number 1, number 2, and 2 number 3s. Take my pokey tool and I'm going to, yes, that silver and black looks rather lovely, doesn't it? I'm going to die cut the word friend. It's heat embossed, Lucy, so all we have done is used all of the circles, all these different circles from the Circle Celebration stamp, and we have stamped them with Versamark and heat embossed them. So yeah, that's all heat embossed, and this side panel here is embossed with an embossing folder. So, what a friend. I've got a friend. That makes it sound. I have got a friend, honestly. I'm going to stick that to there, and then we will decide whether we're going to shadow it or whether we are going to cut it as a mat. Let's bring it in that way. So I do love solid black and white. Black and silver is, I nearly did it in black and white, but black and silver, it gives it that even more of a shimmer and shine, doesn't it? I think let's trim that round and take a little bit of silver and give it a silver mat as well. Let's try and cut that straight. Now, let's pop that up on some dimensionals. And just add in few little rhinestones for a bit more bling. Obviously you'll need to put a white mat inside there, so that could just be probably 9.5 centimeters square. So that is our black and silver version, and a book binding card. I do like that fold. And then over here we have our version in a sort of nice masculine version in Pretty Peacock and Seaside Spray and Misty Moonlight. So 2 cards, both using that gorgeous circle celebrations. As I say, and we're going to be using that this week to make a 1-sheet wonder. It's going to be great fun to create a big 12 by 12 sheet using all of these circles, and then cutting them up and making lots of cards. Always good fun. Thank you for joining me this morning. I hope you've enjoyed that. Obviously, if you would like to get your hands on the circle celebration set, then do either contact, if you're elsewhere in the world, contact your demonstrator if you're not one already, or if you're here in the UK, get in touch. I'd love to help you get some circles in your life. So take care everybody, and we'll be back on Monday.